Hey, Dima, how are you doing?
I just love that music. It's hard not to move.
It's great. It's a good one. And it's crazy. We keep using that one. We have two custom ones that we've never used.
Okay, next time we'll use the custom
I
one.
don't know. The first, it's so good.
Good. Okay, that's okay. We'll keep using this one. How was your day?
The day's kind of rounding out pretty good. It's a busy one. How about you? The pace is kind of quickened before the holidays. How about you?
It's the pace is slowing down, which is
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Getting ready.
Well, I'm ready for that too. I definitely want to change a pace. That would be nice. I'm looking forward to the holidays, whatever that means for most of us. But I'm ready for it.
Yes.
I'm ready.
So today is very special, our show. I've been looking forward to this. It is my dear, wonderful friend that I love from all my heart, Yvette Marsh. So let's get Yvette to join.
Okay, I heard it was a connection as deep as sisters, so let's go ahead and see what this is all about. Here we go. Come on, Yvette. It is so good to have you on the show tonight.
Hi, Rob. How are you? And Habibti, how are you?
Hi, Habibti.
She's teaching me Arabic, Rob. So that is my little foray into speaking Arabic.
So that is amazing.
What does Habibti mean?
So I call it honey bun, which is, I guess, the Southern girl version of Habibti. So it's a term of endearment.
Yes. That's my love for a woman.
I love it. And that's it.
I love it.
To get something and I forgot. Start talking. I'll be right back. I have to show this.
Start talking.
Yes.
I think she was talking to you.
No. I am almost back. Look
Stop
what
what she's trying to say
look
now.
what I got in the mail today.
Oh, nice. That's a good card. That's a good holiday.
Speaking of my love, Rob. Speaking of my love, that is it.
Yeah, here we go. Huh?
Well,
okay.
I get it, but I can also see he's probably got to get jealous of you and Dima too. I get it too. I can see it in the card.
No, she is one of the few that he's like, you know what? It is what it is. That's
He's holding you tight, though. Holding you tight. He loves you. Ooh, I can see it. That warmth in the card. Why didn't I get one, Yvette?
Well, you do. Oh, well, you know, Rob, given that we minutes ago, but look, it's in the mail. It's in the mail.
I hope I'm going to be on the list. I hope we're going to be good friends after this. I hear you and Dima are super good friends. Let's get to talking about a little bit about you and then why this Dima chick is so important and significant. Because, look, I got a crush, too. I get it. I understand. She's an amazing person and a fabulous human. But that's also why we have you on the show. Come on. Lay into it. Let us know why I should have, a connection with you two, Yvette. I'm really looking forward to this.
Well, so let me talk a little bit about the Dima crush. I know this is not the Dima show, but
my God,
it is the Dima show. Yeah. This is why this all started.
But it will answer how we connected. It answers how we connected. So my boss at the time had charged me with hiring like the very best people to bring to the foundation because we were planning this really ambitious, audacious fundraising campaign. He was like, look, you got to talk to Dima Ghali. And I was like, I don't know her, but not a problem. So I connected with her. We met for coffee. And it was my intention to steal her away from IBM to come and work for the foundation. But at the end of, I don't even know how long we talked that day, Dima, but at the end of that conversation, when she was telling me about her vision, her dream about this book she wanted to write, and she wanted to, hang out her shingle and executive coach and help people, I was like, look, my boss is going to be mad, but you cannot come and work for the foundation. You have to do this. You got to do it. And she did, and not because I told her not to, but the rest is history. I mean, it was just her destiny to do exactly what she's doing today.
I love you. And it's amazing. If we did not have that conversation, I think it would have taken me so much longer. I had to envision myself not being an IBMer. And then when I did that, I'm like, okay, I can be on my own. So thank you. I'll always be grateful. You can get as many copies as you want of Breaking Vases. You just ask.
All right. Look, hey, you heard it, Rob.
Christmas comes early for some folks, just saying. They get cards and special editions of the book. I get it. I'm gonna go now.
I'm special.
So, Yvette.
I'm playing. I love her. You know, you need, and this is great because you need people to kind of, Dima, it sounds like she could give you some energy, and she was almost in a way, you said it didn't happen as fast, or there was a reason why this kind of sped up, and there's some people that do that for you, right? There's some things that do that for you. They speed up life or that goal you have. And it sounds like this was one of those moments. That's awesome.
Yep.
It was. And I know my sister going to say, okay, it's not about me, but more about myself. So I know Dima put the bio out there, so I'm not going to go into great detail about, I worked here X number of years and this and that. But I will say, in the spirit of the topic that I hope we're going to talk about tonight, which is one of my favorite topics, employee engagement and culture. Ooh, I can tell you in hindsight, looking back across the last, I think 30 years of my career, which is a number that sounds kind of bananas, but my career has always been rooted in some way, shape, or form in impacting culture. Not necessarily because I had a job description that said, okay, it's your job to impact culture. I was just drawn to it, which is why what Dima was telling me that day in the coffee shop resonated so much with me. It wasn't that she was doing a great job at IBM. She could have done a fabulous job at the foundation. I knew that from what she was telling me, she was drawn to what she's doing today. So in the same fashion, I was always drawn to culture improvement. So I would love to say, Rob, that it was intentional and conscious, because that would make me sound really smart. But it wasn't. It wasn't intentional. It's just that in every job I've had, it was just about, how do I make this place better? How do I make this workplace one that people will want to come? I remember working for a previous employer, and they were rightfully very proud of the fact that they had never advertised for a job to fill a position. Never put an ad online, never put, an ad in the paper. It was solely on the strength of their reputation and just the sheer desire of people wanting to work there. That was their recruiting tool, their only recruiting tool. And I remember being so impressed by that. I think that really shaped my approach to the contributions that I've made in my career. Not that it can't be difficult, because if you sit in a role like I have and have had, where human resources is a part of what you do, there's a nasty little stigma that still lingers around those two little letters. HR just, you're seen as the fun police, you advocate for the employer, not the employee. You're a hall monitor. And, when you have a role in talent management or HR, you do have to make some hard, tough decisions, some difficult ones, but I don't subscribe to any of those labels. I don't have time to be a hall monitor. I think I balance very well the needs of the organization and the needs of the employee. And I'm big fun. I'm sorry, I'm not the fun police. I'm big fun. So just to say, whether my roles have been in banking, higher ed, consulting, and now philanthropy, but nevertheless, it's always been about making headway to make the culture more desirable, if you will.
And a PhD on top of all of that too.
Whoa, doctor.
I should have said that, Dr. Marsh.
Wow. I should have
Yeah, or
changed the
Kiddo.
opening graphic.
Kiddo or Dr. Marsh. You know,
No kiddo. No kiddo. Dr. Marsh.
no Kiddo.
You have to deliver a baby to be called a doctor.
You do not.
Oh, yeah.
Rob is with us now. Rob is with us.
I was like, man, they're close. You know, that's pet names. And then I was like, oh, what a disaster.
I can't believe they published that. But Dr. Marsh.
2020.
I wish I would have changed the graphic. Hold on. I'm changing the graphic live.
Do not.
We're making a point.
Yes, let's make a point. So, Yvette, so for anyone who doesn't know you, tell us more about your background. Where did you grow up? Tell us more about your family. So yeah, go ahead.
So I am a Baton Rouge girl through and through. I grew up here. Not sure if I probably will not leave here. And I think I am the proverbial bleed purple and gold poster child for bleeding purple and gold. You know, got all of my degrees from LSU, and it has me well. I have worked there twice, so you know clearly I'm committed. I have two sons who are like the very best things that I've ever done. My oldest is living in Boston, which means I haven't seen him in a while, but he is doing brain research at MIT. So I'm a very proud mom to say that. And my youngest is pursuing his doctorate in geology at Tulane. So they're smart young men, but even more so, they're good people. So I love them dearly. And also who I love dearly is my husband, who y'all met earlier on the Christmas card.
What a great card. Just a great and a good hugger. He looks like a good hugger. Just saying.
He's a great hugger. Surprises. Like Yvette told me about what he did for her birthday. Oh my goodness. He needs to be teaching men what to do.
Really?
He's a good one. I married a Yankee, so we're not going to hold against him though. So he's from Michigan, but so yeah, just loving life in Baton Rouge, and yeah, enjoying life.
So can I ask what you said one of the topics tonight you're hoping to talk about was employee engagement. You know, I find it interesting to find out where that comes from for people. You know, where is that rooted from? So it sounds like you had a good experience, right? You had something that showed you where, you know, my business at IT Inspired is primarily referral based. You know, up until a few years ago, didn't do any marketing or major sales efforts. And then, but recruiting, something like that, where it's referral based enough where that reputation and the excitement of maybe going to work for a place like that is enough to draw you in without really much effort. So they built that up to be something that someone wanted so much. My question is that rooted in a positive place for you? Because for me, that was kind of came from a place where I didn't think work had to be like that, right? Or I felt like I wasn't treated in the way I would want to be treated, something like that. So where is it rooted for you?
It's everything. It makes my job easier. You don't have to expend a lot of resources, financial resources, right? If you have a good culture and employee engagement strategies working in your favor, right? I worked for a company that had a really attractive referral program. If you recommended someone to work there and they stayed on for 6 months, you got $1,000. Well, we had a lot of we had applicants coming out of the woodwork, but they were not coming for the right reason. You know, I mean, you come and you work for a company because its reputation precedes it. You work for a company because it feels right when you interview, right? The interactions that you have with the individuals, you believe in their mission. So I've never been a big believer in referral programs for money, but just I believe very heavily in culture. And it's hard and it takes time, but if you achieve it, it's everything.
Mm. And then when we talk about 2020 and all of the changes that happened, how would you describe the effect of 2020 on the culture at the foundation and also at the individual employees?
Mm.
Yeah, so it's 2020. I hate even saying those numbers now, but it's been hard on everybody, and it definitely challenged and stretched our employees in ways that I don't think anybody could have even imagined. I mean, before the spring of this year, I couldn't have told you that, one, we had to pivot very quickly to working 100% from home because of COVID, a word that I really hate to say now, that you couldn't have told me that we would have had to restructure our whole organization after we laid off a significant number of our employees. Just saying that still, affects me. And, responding to all the racial unrest and injustices and murders that we experience in this country, and responding as an organization, what our responsibility was related to diversity, equity, and inclusion. So those are just three things that come top of mind, but that were really significant and that we're still in, right? We're still dealing with all of those things right now.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I mean, there's a bit of rising to that challenge and maybe affecting change, but there's also got to maybe be some. You're not only feeling this, but you're trying to help others with it at the same time. That's all. That I don't know that everyone necessarily gets that angle a lot, but you're in an interesting role where, in a way, you get to make an important mark, right? Well,
I certainly try, and for example, I'm a big believer in attending to the whole employee. I don't think that our responsibility to our employees are just the employee; it's the person, right? The person that comes to work from 8 to 5 or 8 to longer, and also the person at home. So that mindset leads you to not only attend to, as an employer, what's our responsibility? Well, our responsibility as an employer is to make it more flexible, right? To not only work from home, but you need your chair from your office because you work from home. We'll give it to you. We need to be more flexible in all of our policies done. But it's also giving them tools to help with their mental health. Who hasn't struggled through this year? And so we ramped up in every way, shape, or form that we could think of to offer those tools and those helps, if you will, to employees. Not because we had to. It's not mandated. We didn't have to do it. A lot of companies did, but we did, and we did so happily. For those that chose to come back to the office, we felt a responsibility to make it safe. I told someone in a similar setting that I feel like I could work for the CDC, because what we have to do to prepare our building for our employees to make it safe and feel comfortable, we did all of those things. So yeah, I think it's if you are the right kind of employer, you have to do those things. It's not a choice. You have to do it.
Yep. Wow. Especially, we were talking earlier about the pandemic, and you mentioned also the layoffs. So it is to keep the morale high, to ensure that they are continuing to feel comfortable, to get the work done, to feel safe if they're going to the office. So that is a lot. And add to that all the racial injustice that has been going on with the killings this year. So let's talk about that. What are you doing in the foundation to increase awareness and to help the employees become more conscious and more inclusive?
So we are doing a lot, and that makes me happy to say that. So the foundation of what represents what we're doing at the foundation is our diversity, equity, and inclusion plan, our strategic plan. Now, the right way to develop such a plan is to gather all of the right people around the table, and over the course of maybe a year and a half, you build and implement this plan. But we felt that the strategies and all of the actions around DEI were not only long overdue as a country, but if I'm going to be frank and honest, it was long overdue for us as an organization as well. It felt urgent. It was urgent. So our plan was created in a fraction of that time. So how do we do that? Because I'm like, look, we don't have time to sit around and talk about a plan and then talk about a plan and keep talking about it. We needed to do it. So it was merely a matter of selecting which of the many goals and strategies that were out there. I mean, it's not like it's you don't know what to do. You just need to select the goals and strategies that make sense for you in your organization. And what I mean by make sense, like what was doable immediately for us, because I did not want to create a plan that was like, oh, it's real pretty and look how nice it looks and it looks good on its face, but it was one that sat on the proverbial shelf, if you will. That was not happening, not on my watch. So identifying what doing the right thing looked like wasn't hard. Gaining buy-in from leadership wasn't hard as well. And I highlight that last point because I have full understanding and awareness that for many of my colleagues that sit in a similar role as mine, they don't have that feedback. There are a lot of universities and foundations that got a lot of pushback for their own DEI efforts and requests in their plans. So I acknowledge and appreciate the position that my organization is in, that they were more than accepting, like on board from the beginning with a plan that I think is just full of impact. It's beautiful, it's comprehensive across the board, in that it touches pretty much every facet of our organization: employees, policies, procedures, and our board as well. Dima factors into our plan a little bit, a lot, quite frankly, because we developed several employee network groups. And I thought, like, who's the best person that can help us form those groups in the very right way and to make it inclusive, and those who are not aware of what those are. These are groups of employees, voluntary. You can't mandate that, right? You have to willingly come to be a part of a group based on some shared identity or just some life experience. And when you look into like the research around employee networks and how that affects the organization, you find that if people don't feel like they belong in an organization, it has all kind of negative repercussions, right? Like the culture is not right. They get disengaged, unhappy, the productivity goes down, all that sorts of things. So we already had one actually in place. We hadn't labeled it an employee network group, but it was a group of employees that were parents. They lovingly called themselves the mom and papas. And but we felt like an opportunity to create more, and Dima helped us with that. So I'm gonna stop, take a breath, and let Dima, I guess, talk about her reaction to the phone call to come and help us with this.
The team, they're doing such an amazing job. It's impressive to see in a short period of time how they got the concept. They started planning events. And one of the things that Yvette did that I think it is wonderful. Usually whenever we talk about employee networks, we're thinking about women group and people of color and pride. But she created the men's group too. So they have one of these groups is men's group for them to come together and get to talk about their experiences, their challenges, increasing awareness. And when we did the survey asking these different groups what topics they would like to cover and learn more about. So the men's group, one of their topics was home improvement.
Love it.
They want to come together and talk about home improvement.
The DIY.
The other ones want to talk about, inclusion and bias and all. But the men's group, one of their topic is home improvement. I just thought that is hilarious.
It's great.
I love it. I love it. But we did, Dima mentioned bias. So their first, let me also say, the group formed by members, obviously, of that group that had that shared identity. And I didn't list the other four. I mentioned parents. We have millennials, women, as Dima mentioned, men who they're the minority at the foundation. So we felt like they needed a network group. So that's rare, but that's the case where I work. And we had our Black employees. And so you can be members of that group, but allies can also join that group as well. Not that you have that shared identity, but you certainly share and support that group. So members and allies comprise each of those groups, but they also elected, I thought was a wonderful idea, the topic of implicit bias as their first topic across the board. Like each and every group chose to present their perspective of implicit bias of their particular group in the workplace. So, for example, parents talked about implicit bias from the perspective of, because I'm a parent, then there might be the assumption that I can't take on this project or I can't go to this event because I have kids, which of course has the career limiting effect, right, of not having as many opportunities at your disposal. Millennials had just the opposite, right? That, give it to the millennial because they're not married, they don't have kids, they'll do it, they can take on more. And that's an assumption that creates issues. Women, men, Black employees, which I was a member of as a Black female with children. I'm a member of both groups, but I really felt like the discussion about implicit bias with our Black employees and the allies of Black employees was it was eye-opening. It was eye-opening to me that some of the things that we talked about was foreign to a lot of our employees. We talked about, why is it an issue to touch a Black woman's hair? Or we talked about the paper bag test. We talked about how it's necessary to de-Black your house when you are selling it. And a lot of these things, like, what are you talking about? So those conversations are doing and will continue to achieve the objective that sought out to do with these employee network groups. And that is to make the uncomfortable comfortable, to not have people walk on eggshells around things that maybe you're not that knowledgeable about, so you don't say anything, so you don't want to say, because you don't want to say the wrong thing. So it's allowing the conversation, and to see it happening is just it's just cool. It's just a cool feeling to see it happening at the foundation.
And their energy is so great. They're enjoying it. They're learning. Yeah, it is wonderful to see how much they've accomplished in a short period of time.
Yeah, I'm very proud of them.
And to pick that, not an easy topic, kind of
jumped in.
Jumped right in.
Yeah.
Neil deGrasse Tyson had a great masterclass if you have access to masterclass, he had great, I don't know, 4 or 5 chapters on bias. I think his whole program was devoted to that. It was awesome. So if you have a chance to check that out, highly recommend it.
I'll check that.
But yeah, what a topic. That's kind of a big one to jump into. And so I guess I wanted to say too, you know, our team connects a lot through activities or doing things and or playing games, you know, stuff like that for our team. These groups, did they just get together and talk? Was it just a matter of connecting? You know, was there anything, I know it wasn't mandatory, but was there anything sort of, I don't know, anything required to be a part of the group and not just an ally?
Just to really engage, quite frankly. That was sort of an unspoken requirement that, you know, it was good to sort of raise your hand and say, sure, I'm a parent and I want to be a part of that group, but we wanted engagement. It was an unspoken requirement.
Did they take that like outside of the workplace too? Like, did they carry things and conversations and?
Absolutely. But also speaking of outside, we started it in the middle of a pandemic. So I think the activities have looked quite different. For example, one of the groups I'm a member of, we said, gosh, wouldn't it be great to spend Saturday in New Orleans checking out all of the Black-owned restaurants, and we're going to do it, you know, when the world turns right side up. But to say that it's been relegated solely to a virtual environment, to Dima's earlier point, it's just been phenomenal. I'm just so pleased with just how those conversations are taking place and how engaged all of the employees are.
That's awesome.
So when I look at the foundation, I'm always so impressed with the initiatives you lead, whether it is for DEI or whether employee engagement in general. But then I go consult or work for, like, help other organizations, and I see how they're in a different place and how much they're resisting a lot of the initiatives that make sense to the three of us, but to them, they're resisting. They're resisting the importance of DEI. They're resisting things related to culture. Their excuse is, we don't have the time, we don't have the money, or if we do DEI initiatives, we may lose some of our clients. So what do you say to organizations like that?
So look, I don't begrudge any of those organizations. I understand it, and they're not wrong. You know, a lot of the initiatives take time. Not only take time to plan and to implement, but it takes time to bear fruit. I mean, you don't see really the impact of a lot of employee engagement initiatives until years later. One particular example that I can tell you firsthand, we have a recognition program called High Five. And High Five is sort of a peer-to-peer recognition program. Managers can also nominate their employees. Employees can nominate their managers. But when we first started that program, you know, I almost gave up on it several times. And take a step back, just to tell you a little bit about the tenets of the program. You could nominate someone for something really monumental, like they did something that resulted in significant cost savings for the organization or efficiency savings, or it could be something simple as, oh, Joe held the door for me this morning when I had my hands full, and so I want to nominate him for a High Five award. I could not pay people to submit a High Five nomination. I mean, I would get on the phone and like, hey, Rob, you want to nominate somebody for a High Five this month? It'd be a great idea.
I got to fill something out? Like, can't I just tell you over the phone?
It was that. We even like created a special email to make it easy. It was like pulling teeth. So But over time, to my point that this is, I mean, it's been a long suffering work, but man, when it hit, it just feels so good. Today, we are inundated with nominations. I mean, they're just coming out of the woodwork. One of the hardest tasks that I have, or me and my team have, is to pick a winner, because there's just so many. And it has also evolved. Like today, I was telling Dima, we had our holiday party today, or earlier today, and one of the things that we did, one of the many fun things that we did, was we acknowledged the high five winner. And this quarter, it was a whole team. So that was not the intention of this award. It was like, oh, like, congratulate Dima for this good thing. But several people nominated this whole team who had worked really hard this quarter, and they got acknowledged, and that was such a good thing. I'm gonna tell you, and it sounds kind of, warm and fuzzy or cheesy or whatever, but honest to goodness, on a bad day, when I'm having a rough day at work, I pull out those nominations and I read them, because it's just everything. It's because I remember those days when I was calling and trying to convince people and twist arms to nominate, and now that they are the most glowing, authentic, heartfelt sentiments about a colleague that you ever want to see. So it's a very small incremental change, but we see it working and doing what it's supposed to do to the culture of an organization, and it's everything. To your point, Dima, about how do you respond to clients and customers who may not be on board with some of the things that you're doing, in similar fashion that a manager or a CEO might say, look, don't do all of that stuff, or who sees employee engagement as fun stuff that's just fun. It's not. It's I feel, and I may be on Pluto by myself with this, it's more important than the things that people think normally make an organization run. It is more important than the bottom line. It is more important than your, nuts and bolts policies and procedures, because if your employees are not happy doing what they're doing, if they don't see you as an employer of choice, well, that other stuff is not going to matter. It's not going to really be impactful and give you an ROI. So in similar fashion, if you as an organization support DEI efforts and you have a client or a customer, or in our case, a donor who is not in favor of that, you have to really decide as an organization, am I going to live out our values? Am I going to stand firm on who we say that we are as an organization? And that means that you have to be able to say, client, customer, donor, I understand how you may feel. I really hope that your support of our business and our organization in the past has, will hold firm, right? Will really bear out as the reason for your support, and not necessarily this decision that we may not see eye to eye with. So you got to be ready to maybe step away from that customer and hope that it's temporary, and just stand on your values.
Yeah.
Which we do.
Yeah, I think Kenny Wen from 368 likes to say that you don't culture doesn't mean anything until it costs you money, and it's very true. Would you say that in employee engagement drives culture? Are they two separate things? Are they the same thing?
One is the outcome of the other, right? So I don't think it's synonymous.
It's part of the cycle, right? It's part of what you put into the system.
Absolutely.
It's the gasoline going into the tank.
It is all of those things, absolutely. But there are many other factors, right? It's this is not being brown nosing my boss, but so I'll, in general, employee engagement is not going to do what it can do if you don't have leadership approach. And I know it sounds trite to say, it starts from the top down, but it's true. If if your organization is not structured in such a way that holds employee engagement and culture in the same high regard as some of the more traditional, systematic things in an organization, it's not going to work. So
like the recognized value is there for it to be just as important as an efficient, shipping or management system for your company. It's more important.
Absolutely, in my opinion. And I mentioned, values. It's easy to identify values, and it looks really nice on your website. But what we try to do is to really integrate and have those values show up in everything that we do, not only in talent management, but I feel a whole across the board. So, our values are, excellence. Like, is it excellent? Does it positively impact your professional growth? That's the second value. Respect, like all that we do, is it respectful to not only your colleagues, but also to your donors and anyone else that you interact with, other stakeholders in the organization. And then the final one is spirit. Like, does it evoke passion and fun? Because we do want to enjoy what we do every day. We, as we all know and feel and live out every day, we sometimes spend more time at work than we do at home. So it should be filled with passion and a direct connection with what's important to you, and fun at the same time.
Like having a team event that includes puppies and ice cream, right?
I remember hearing about that.
Oh yeah, we've had some pretty historic, puppy day, free snowball, yoga on the terrace. Today, when I'm still kind of buzzed about our party. I was telling Dima before we got on that we acknowledge our Employee of the Year at our holiday party, but we had to figure out how to do it virtually this year. So we did a full-on Publishers Clearinghouse kind of approach with identifying or informing the person who won. So everybody's on the call, and at the top of the party, I said, look, we're going to name an Employee of the Year, but it could be you. You don't know. Somebody's doorbell is going to ring, before the end of the party. And so when we were ready to do it, we had someone that was actually like delivering the big check, balloons, a trophy, and he's on his phone, and you just see him walking up to somebody's door. So everybody's just like, is it me? Is it me? And the doorbell rang, and it was a person on the call, and it was like the best thing ever. She was so surprised, awesome. and it was so well deserved. And so I just try to get creative just to make sure that your employees feel recognized and seen. And I'm gonna tell you, over time, I think it gets to be typical. They get used to it, and that's okay. I'm all right with that. But I want you to expect it. I want you to expect to feel recognized and to be recognized and to feel seen, and that your work really matters. And sometimes you have to leave the organization and go somewhere else to really recognize what that was, but that's okay. That's absolutely fine. We foster and nurture employees to go off and be ambassadors of the foundation, with the next employer. So that's a good thing.
So Rob, do you see why I love her?
Oh, I get it. She's great. I mean, yeah. Not much more to say on that, really. You kind of crushed it. It's good. It's good to know that there are other people out there that value that see the significance and how critical it is to be not just engaged but enthusiastic about what you're doing and who you're doing it with. Because the reality is we're spending the majority of our life at work and not at home with the people that we freaking love and really want to be spending the time with, until usually it's too late or we have to retire for that. So it's great to set up a work family, a networking group like you've got, a support group or a group aside that people can assimilate with and just have some sort of identity, connectivity beyond just doing normal work. And it's what I was trying to allude to earlier was that, yeah, we do a lot by doing. The doing that you had was having conversations. That's almost to an extent a lot harder. And you picked something hard. We play games, you know? So I think that's friggin' awesome that you're not playing games really when you're talking about something like implicit bias. But I think it goes so far.
Yeah, playing games can make it more interesting. Yeah. Games are okay.
Yeah, all that's fine. I just find that very fascinating that you would have engagement for that, because some people would call that work. I'm not lying. Some employees think I leave that at work. You got my best for my 8 hours and I turned it in. You know, don't call me again. They'll send me an email. So to have engagement outside of that, or to carry something like that was fostered in-house and carry that offline is very special. And connecting that, you know, having all those fibers kind of mesh and then bring everyone closer in and locked in makes for a really solid foundation for a team in any aspect: sports, work, family, doesn't matter. It brings that human connection that's so important. And that's what employee engagement's like. It's unlocking that at work. Absolutely. Hoping you're conditioning people down the road to do better for themselves and enjoy, and because we're all conditioned to sometimes not accept those things. Can you talk about that, Yvette? I mean, that's weird for some people coming into an environment where y'all are doing some of these things that when people are resisting in other parts.
Yeah, and I think the unintentional lesson that I feel we have learned is that it's easy to say, oh, well, I don't have time to do that because I have all of this work over here. We all work really, really hard. And if you're talking about, well, there's an hour-long meeting scheduled with my employee network group, but I have this work over here. It's easy to say, I don't have time to do that because I need to focus on work. I think our employees have learned that when you attend to self, because that's a really important way to attend to self, right? Like learning about your colleagues. When you take a class, that's about your professional development and one of our values. When you do things that helps with the workload in that you are more equipped, right? To not only address that work, but you have more of a work-life balance. You are, you have now nurtured and fed those things within yourself that make you a better, not even only a better person, I say. So I don't think that we intended to learn that lesson, but I feel like we have, and I'm really happy about that.
So Yvette, I like, from knowing you, a lot of this, you spend time thinking about it. It requires a lot of creativity, but it also comes naturally to you. This is something you're passionate about, and you focus on it. So what tips do you give to other leaders related to continuing to develop a healthy culture?
So maybe a couple of tips. One, to give feedback. And I think a lot of leaders or managers would disagree, to ask for it as well. So there's not a lot of people that know how to give constructive feedback, meaning to communicate in the right way that, hey, Joe, you're not, this thing that you're doing isn't serving you well, or it may be even derailing your career. But a manager that can do that well has really done a good thing. If they can master being able to have a conversation about uncomfortable things, like you're not doing a good job or what you could be doing better, it's great. It's hard. because in order to do that, there has to be all of these really elusive things like trust. Like you can't tell everybody everything unless there is some trust that exists there and accountability. But it is possible, and you can achieve that. And if you can, there's nothing that you can't do or say, or there's nothing that you can't achieve. You hear all the time that employees don't leave companies, they leave managers. I think that's true, but I think the opposite is true as well. An employee will stay with a manager if that person believes in them and wants them to do well. Is a sponsor and a mentor to them. I think employees, that's the best retention tool that anyone can have. I mentioned that some leaders may disagree about asking for feedback because it's probably easier to say, look, just do what I tell you to do. Like, here's what I want you to do. Here's when I want you to do it. And here's what I want you to do. So if you're going to ask that, you have to do something with it. Like you just can't, if you're going to ask for feedback and you get it, you just can't sit with it. You should do something with it. So don't ask for it. Don't ask for feedback. Don't say, what do you think? How do you think you should do this? What are your ideas? And, what timetable do you think we should do this or that? If you either are not going to implement it, or you can't say no to that suggestion and why you can't implement that. So feedback has served us well at the foundation. We talk all the time about a program that we have that we call 5-4-3s. We check in with every employee 5 days after they're hired, 4 weeks after they're hired, and then 3 months after they're hired. And during those conversations, we ask, like, how's it going? And look, fresh eyes, what could we be doing better? And from those conversations, we have changed things. And like, how awesome is it that you have worked somewhere a week and you say, well, now that you asked, I think that you should maybe do X, Y, Z. And we do X, Y, Z. And you work there a week and you impacted. I mean, how awesome is that? And that has happened. So feedback is everything. And we try to do that as often as we can. So that would be one tip to really impact the culture. And I think the second one would be to realize that every single person that works in your organization is a fully formed, walking, talking adult. And I know that a lot of managers will say it feels like they're running a daycare sometimes instead of a department or an organization. But if that's the case, I put that on the manager, not the employee, because outside of work, employees run households, they raise families, all of the things that adults do. But in the workplace, they sometimes treat it like children because, you spell out every single action or behavior like they don't have a brain, or, you don't allow them to make mistakes and learn from those mistakes. We certainly do need policy, but everything doesn't have to be in a handbook or codified in some sort of policy. If you expect them to do the right thing, surprisingly, they do. We have a group that we call the E3 Task Force. It's an employee engagement task force that serve kind of as our ear to the ground for what employees are saying or doing or what they want. And the one a couple of years ago, they tackled updating our dress code policy. And our dress code policy at the time looked very much like probably every dress code policy in every organization. It was like, a lot of narrative, like, dress code, blah, 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 blah. And then there was a laundry list of like, here are the things that you don't wear to work. And here are the things that you do, like a do's and don'ts. And the list would grow every year because fashions would change or, trends would change. And So I thought, like, this list, is getting really, really long. Let me let the task force look at it. And I'm sitting at the table and I'm listening to them, and they got into this hour-long conversation about spaghetti straps. Like, are spaghetti straps really okay to wear to work? Because what actually makes a strap a spaghetti strap? Is it half an inch? Is it 1 inch? Is it like, and I'm like, what is happening? What are we doing? Are we really talking about spaghetti straps? I said, look, forget it. Look, scrap the dress code policy. We are all adults. If we don't know how to come to work, dressed appropriately, somebody will tell you. That's it. So if you look at our dress code policy today, it's 2 sentences. It's 2 sentences. We threw the whole thing out. And it literally says, it's a professional organization, dress accordingly. And if you're not, somebody will tell you. That's it. And wow. Shockingly, in the last 2 years that we've had that policy, nobody showed up in their pajamas or flip-flops or, so again, the tip is treating your employees like adults, because they are. And I think it opens up a whole avenue of a resource that otherwise would have gone untapped. So 2 tips.
Great story.
I read something along those same lines. I forget who it was some company had done something similar to that, and it really resonated with me. And we kind of brought that back and just simplified it to look professional, and went a little bit further and said, if you're at the office, I mean, we've simplified it so much now, where if you're at the office, don't care. We'd rather you be comfortable and perform better. And honestly, we don't have many clients. Not all companies can do this, but we don't have many clients that come to the office. But we make it well known, like, hey, we are it is Friday. We're not just casual Friday. We are super casual Friday today. You're going to see people, they might have pajamas. I'm not just, we'll see. But the point there is that we said, look professional when you're out of the office. In the office, relaxed dress code, and it makes it pretty easy. And like you said, you'd be surprised. People will do the right thing and the nice, kind, humble thing the majority of the time. And if not, just tell them. Just coach them in. Reel it in, and you'll be fine.
Easy peasy.
I wish it could always be that easy, Yvette. Look, and in fact, I have a question for you. How does this look?
I love it. Thanks, Rob.
Okay. We had to get that. Did a little bit of live editing. It was kind of strange. Felt like I kept doing this the whole time. It looks really good. Just saying, it looks great on you. You should.
You're on the Christmas
card. That was in your email signature. I should have caught that.
Is it on the Christmas card? Let me see. The Marshes. Yeah. Well, you worked so hard for it. You earned it.
I said Rob's on the Christmas card list now.
Oh, good. You see, after an hour, she likes you.
I want to hug your husband when hugging's okay. He really looks like a good hugger. I love hugs. I'm a hugger.
He's a good hugger.
He really looks like a good hugger. Just saying, Hubs the hugger.
Anyone who missed it, let's do it again. For anyone who missed it.
Just bringing it in close. There's a lot of love right there.
Why am I not getting it right?
Is that mistletoe?
Yeah, he's holding
mistletoe and they forgot to catch the kiss.
Yeah, he's holding the mistletoe.
Oh my gosh. Okay, thanks, Dima.
Oh, I love it. So awesome. This has been amazing. Yvette, what is your really quick, what is your special sauce? Like, what are you good at? It sounds like you're good at people. What are you good at?
What am I good at?
I know it's open-ended as can be. You just seem like you're a woman of many talents and you get people. What else can you do? There's something else. I know it.
A great dating coach.
You need that. You gotta have someone. You gotta have someone.
There's a whole story around that. That's another time.
That would need like 4-hour chit chat minimum.
Ooh. Different kind of chit chat, not on Wednesdays, not at 7. Different chit chat.
Chit chat. Like that's a Saturday night chit chat.
Oh, I love that. But yeah, so what else do you do? What else are you good at?
I don't know how to answer that, but I can tell you, you mentioned, so it is kind of weird. You mentioned like the people piece. I think that it is a incorrect assumption that I'm an extrovert, and I am not. I am a blazing introvert. I like a small circle of people that are just great friends of mine. Dima is in that circle. But I think the reason you said that is connected to what we've been talking about today. Like I like the impact that one individual can have on another person's life or lives, right? And but that I'm an outgoing introvert, raging
You
outgoing
understand
introvert.
people. Maybe I should rephrase that.
I think that's a better way to put it. Yeah.
You understand people, and you understand the impact that can play when you
Absolutely.
when you positively show. Yeah. Okay. All right. I got it. And then so are there things you like doing? Like, do you like to craft or anything? What do you like to do? I kind of want to know a little bit more about you personally. Sounds like you've got this whole professional thing locked down. You good. You're doing great things. I want to know more about you, Dr. Yvette Marsh.
I just recently took up piano.
Ooh,
because in my mind, I want to do that well. It's slow going, but I like to learn new things. So I tried that. I've started, Spanish lessons. I want to everything that I can talk about is things that I've started that I want to do, not maybe so much that I'm good at. So I like learning new things. I'm learning Arabic.
Oh yeah, habibti.
We'll let you close out the show and we'll test it out.
Oh gosh, I forgot my other word. It was, I can't remember. I need to do better. And I also, one thing I really do enjoy that I started is teaching. So I'm teaching graduate courses online at LSU, nice. And that's been great. Again, impact, right? So clearly that's my driver. So I've really been enjoying that. It's challenging, but certainly rewarding.
That's awesome.
Part of a wonderful book club. What is it called? It's called something Friday. What is it? Something Friday.
Friday. We meet on the first Friday, and you're not ready, Rob. Like you're not even ready. Don't even try it. It is like
I just got on the Christmas card list. Not trying to jump in the book club this month, but I'm free January. Let me see.
Serious. It's pretty serious.
I'm looking. I mean, you said Mondays, right? This is just
Friday. I thought Friday. It is
Friday. Oh, Friday. Yeah. I gotta shampoo my hair.
Your book on Friday. Yeah.
Well, thanks for the invite. I really appreciate that. There's something on my schedule that night.
I did not invite you. I did not. I have missed that part. Maybe my internet went down a little. I did not.
Look at Dima.
That's so funny. Okay, Dr. Marsh, we love you. We're so glad you joined. I wanted to say something. I didn't want to interrupt you.
Just that I have enjoyed meeting Rob. I got a new friend, a new person in my circle. So it's been such a pleasure meeting you and chit-chatting with you tonight.
We learned a lot, and I know our audience, their viewers, they are learning a lot too. So thank you.
Very welcome.
I
My
really
pleasure.
have to say, Dr. Marsh, Yvette, it has been incredible. I understand why there's so much love surrounding you. You know, you came highly recommended. Lots of people checked in on us tonight, and lots of people had a lot of good things to say before this show. Can't wait to see what they say after the show. Thank you so much. This has been so great getting to know you. And happy
You're very
holidays
welcome.
to you. Happy holidays. Stay
Same to
safe,
you.
friend. All
I
of that.
shall do that. I'll do my best.
Bye, Yvette. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Dima.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. But look, before we sign off, we got to tell people to suggest a guest, right? We still got to do that. So, look, if you know someone as amazing as our Dr. Yvette Marsh, if you've tuned in tonight and watched some of the amazing nuggets of knowledge and wisdom that she dropped on us tonight, then you know the type and the quality of person we're looking for Chit Chat. We are always looking for new guests. So please tag somebody in our comments. Please, post their name or get us in touch, okay? We would love to have them as a guest on our show, any guest speaker, community leader, or someone with a great story to tell. And with that, thank you for watching tonight. We really appreciate it. Happy holidays. And just stay tuned. We'll have a scheduled post and a scheduled show with information coming to you shortly. Happy holidays, everybody.